What's happening, gangsters? With the winter months firmly upon us here in the eastern United States, I was reminded of an inciting incident that led to this room actually being built out. So I thought we'd rewind the clocks a little bit and show you kind of the process, the behind the scenes of how this room came to be. A little bit of backstory. My wife and I had just bought this house, and the basement was the perfect location for a color room slash theater room. I had started planning out how I wanted everything with like a projection screen and the whole deal. And then we had a really bad storm in the winter, and it cut the power for like 7 days, during which the battery backup for the sump pump in the basement took a shit and decided to not work. And I came downstairs to find a wet carpet. So this is the carpet with the water underneath it seeping through. That'll get your ass into gear, I'll tell you that much. As you can see here, I had started mapping out where I wanted the projection screen to be. That's what that blue tape is. And you can see the water's all the way over into that corner. So I called a friend of mine, and we got the carpet up and out of the house, because the last thing you want is mold in your basement. And you can see here, this is after the carpet's been ripped up. That was my temporary desk because I was getting this room situated for color. What a wreck, man. Yeah, this one's a little dark, but you kind of get like an idea of just how bad the damage was. What are you gonna do? You know, it was shop vac time. So I got in there, I got all the water out. Power eventually came back, and we just had like fans and all that kind of stuff running. I got this all cleaned up. And then I had a really nice, clean foundation from which to build. I decided to hell with it. I'm going to get rid of the popcorn ceiling and redo this. And I just wanted to replace it with sheetrock. This is a panorama of the entire ceiling removed. You see I lit up my basement with a film light down here. So I hired an electrician to come in and tie a junction box into the ceiling, because I knew that's where the projector was going to be. And I want to run like a mile of cable down a wall through like conduit or something ugly, and then plug into any of these outlets. I just didn't want to bother with it. So I had him install one in the ceiling. And then here is that install. And then there's the finished junction box. And then eventually popped that plate off, painted it black to match what would be the black ceiling. And then here's where I was mapping out how big of a screen the wall would support. There are calculators online that will tell you, like, here's the throw distance for how far back your projector is from the wall and how sharp of an image at what size you can get on your wall. There's a loud Mustang or something. Uh-oh. A little technical difficulty here. I think I have to do this all over again. Yeah, as you can see, we had a window there. I knew I was going to have to close that up. I think this screen is 110 or 114 inches. I feel like it's 110, but I didn't want to get it too big because I knew I wanted a console for which to hold like the PlayStation and receiver and all that kind of stuff. So it's just taped off for reference, just so I knew how big it was going to be, and I knew how much room there was going to be on either side for speakers and that sort of thing. This is a jack that you can rent, and it will hold a piece of sheetrock and allow you to kind of like press it up to the ceiling and hold it there, so that you can kind of screw in all your sheetrock into the ceiling, which was a big help. Here's a test fit for curtain rods. I wanted kind of like an industrial feel. I just wanted to make sure that it was going to be wide enough to block the light coming from the windows that I was going to leave open. This is where my desk is now, facing forward. This is just more of the sheetrock going up. Got everything spackled up here. I really wanted a black ceiling because it's going to cut down on the reflected light from the screen itself. Like the projector is going to throw a ton of light at it. That bounces off the screen. I wanted the ceiling to be black to absorb as much light as possible. So I chose a matte black paint. I didn't even bother priming the ceiling. I just threw up the paint. So it doesn't look super pretty. This room is so dark all the time anyway that it doesn't even matter. There's black paint on the cans and the lights in there. So now we've got the whole ceiling blacked out. As far as the gray paint, it's actually a matrix that Flanders Scientific released years ago. Before they were selling paint, and you can take this matrix to like Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever hardware store, as long as they can custom mix paint, and you can just give them the matrix and they'll make it for you. Basically what it is, it's a very neutral gray. Flanders now and other companies make very neutral gray for studios like this, but I think a gallon of the professional N5 paint is like $130 a gallon or something. But you can save a ton of money and just get however much paint you need. I needed a ton because I had a big room. And if you guys are really interested, I can drop the paint matrix as a download or something. Then we got my desk in there. This was really interesting. I actually picked up this desk. It's not even a desk, it's a table. But I got it from a boutique, like a fashion boutique that was going out of business. My wife happened to walk in there, and they were selling all of the furniture and stuff like that in the boutique as well. And I told them I would take the table. So that's how I ended up with this thing, which is cool. I mean, it's a good like 8-foot table, so it works for when you have a huge array like this. But that was pretty fortuitous. Got the black curtains hung. They're not like 100% light blocking, but they do the job. This is that's actually where my headphones are hung. It's a little just industrial piece of steel pipe that I just screwed into the bottom of the desk just to hold my headphones. Then you got to get a couch. You got the posters down there. Those are still on the wall. You got the rug in there looking cool. The screen is by a company called Screen Innovations. Really easy to put together, really easy to hang. And I went with the really small felt. Obviously, you got to test run it by watching The Mummy. I built this center console. I had a particular plan in mind about what I wanted it to be. I also wanted it to be on a pedestal, so it kind of had like a floating effect, but it needed to be big enough to hold like all the various components I was going to put on there. So I knew there was going to be a center speaker, a PlayStation, a receiver, Apple TV, all that kind of stuff. And then I've got one of these big surge protectors on the back so that I can plug all the components directly into that rather than running like lines and wires everywhere. And then got it stained up, did some really quick trim, and that's kind of what it looks like, and that's still in the room today. And then this is that same angle, but this is what it used to look like. That was how yellow the room was, and that is what it kind of ended up looking like. All this to say, you don't need to spend a fortune if you're willing to kind of roll up your sleeves and do the work yourself and build yourself out a color room. I wish I had a cost associated with what I did to this room. I mean, the carpeting was obviously an expenditure. The furniture wasn't too bad. I got it from IKEA, and I got the desk itself from that boutique that was going out of business. So as far as the room itself, it wasn't terribly expensive, and I ended up with a room that's customized exactly how I want it. So I thought this was pretty cool to go back in time and kind of show the humble beginnings of the room. I hope you got something out of this one. I hope it inspires you to build out your own color room, and I will see you in the next one.